Today, we need to talk about Jin's recent trips to the ER and why he is prone to getting sick. We need to talk about a stalker nurse doing some shady things, and then we need to get into some pictures shown or what RM is up to. So hey Dumplings, it's Dave Decide, hater or not, make sure you're subscribed with the notification bell on. Grab your dumplings, he's spilling mug merch, and let's go. RM has been very busy lately and there's a lot of stuff here to talk about. Of course, we know that the boys have been doing their own solo stuff, and RM had just released his album Indigo, and fans think we might get another before he enlists. Indigo was extremely successful. He ended up working with a lot of big non-Korean artists and the songs did very well. The songs did not have an American release, and as someone who speaks English, he actively chose not to have that much English in his songs. And this is why we didn't see too many English interviews and promos. After the songs dropped, he even did a feature, and I think the general army thought he might just take this time to go and enlist. RM even hopped on a live stream not too long ago to talk about how initially his plan was to enlist alongside J-Hope. But then RM wanted to postpone his service because of a mystery project, and he will go once that project is completed. We have no idea if this mystery project is one song, like how Jin and J-Hope released a last song before they left, or maybe it's an EP. Likelihood of it being an EP or something more is much higher because he wouldn't have to postpone his service if it was just a one-off song. It really doesn't take too long to shoot a music video and write a song. And if you were really pressed for time, you could probably even do it in just a week. And RM doesn't have to even be there when it's released. So armies were speculating what this project was. RM also said in the stream he doesn't think new music will come out this year, so that could mean he isn't planning on enlisting this year. I don't know. However, a photo started to go viral, and it was a black and white photo that is very dark. We can't really see anyone's face, but it appears like they're in a studio. It apparently appeared at Supreme Boy's Instagram account. Supreme Boy is one of Big Hit's in-house producers. Of course, RM would have this relationship with him and still want to work with him. There's no reason for RM to be in the studio unless it's a music project or a feature. Of course, the idea of if this was indeed RM in the photo is still up for speculation. But armies have a good eye and they're able to see any of RM's body parts and immediately know if this is RM or not. Now, a little TMI or foot warning is that RM loves to post pictures of his feet. He hasn't just posted his feet for no reason, I don't think. They just happen to be in the frame when he takes photos. So when RM showed his 7 tattoo, he showed his legs, and then of course his feet with his sandals were in there. So by looking at the photo, armies could tell it was RM by the feet. And I think this is hilarious, to recognize someone by literally a foot. But even though the photo is dark, I think I could tell this is RM by simply looking at his face shape. But you tell me if you think it is RM and if he's working on a new album. I love his old album, so obviously I cannot wait for the new one. If you do want to check out Indigo and react with me to that album, I will link the Patreon in the description. We currently have a $1 tier that is open, and we always have loads of fun laughing and reacting to so many videos. Hope to see you there. I hope RM is doing well, and I think the biggest concern, or one of the biggest concerns, was that if BTS members join the military, are they okay? Of course, they're grown men, this is my opinion, but the idea of them needing protection goes far beyond that. Are they able to handle themselves when there are possibly hundreds of people coming at them or hundreds of potential stalkers trying to get into the camp? And I can understand those concerns. I have tried to debunk a lot of those concerns. I don't think everyday stalkers like the ones you see at the airport are ever going to be able to get into the camp, and if they do, they'll probably get shot, so they should not be risking that. And other concerns like food allergies or mistreatment, if they were to happen, I would see that the members would speak up about it and report it. I'm sure there's some sort of HR situation there. And a lot of these concerns come from what has happened to BTS or Jin way before he has even enlisted. Jin and many other BTS members are fairly accident prone. Jin was having a bunch of issues during one of their last shows as a group, and this was the Busan concert. Jin said for the many days leading up to the performance, he actually could not speak, and and then for some reason right before the show started, he got his voice back. This is really a moment where you have to imagine that the boys are meant to do what they do. The universe granted Jin his voice for just that moment to allow him to share his gift, and he sounded great. Most people did not even know he had a voice problem. Shortly after the concert was about over, Jin told the audience that he had his voice issue and was actually going to be admitted to the hospital. When you say that to most people who understand, they realize that it's fine. The idol will get the best treatment and better treatment than you and I would ever receive, and then they'll be fine and well again. But when you tell people who are a bit dramatic, and sometimes K-pop fans are dramatic, people can think, oh my god, he's dying, he's just not telling us. In which case, in their mind, they get scared. And then other moments even before this, when BTS was performing at the Grammys and all the members were exhausted and we saw Jin just finish his finger surgery, people can tend to get very protective of Jin because they think the universe is out to get him. And in moments where we see the members cry over their injuries and not being able to perform, I can see this all contributing to the reaction that the fandom has when they think Jin is not well. And then they might imagine Jin in his bunker crying. However, since the enlistment, we have gotten a lot of updates on how Jin is doing, and he is in fact doing very well. J-Hope and the other members talked about how Jin has gained weight and Jin is eating well, and overall we have seen the pictures where Jin looks very well. So he is absolutely okay even though he is in the hospital, and he was definitely well taken care of. Recently, ARMYs woke up to rather disturbing news on what happened to Jin, and I will say this is rather concerning, and I can understand the outrage here. Jin, of course, did nothing wrong and has been complying with all of the rules and just trying to get through his service. Not only get through, but he is doing everything really well. When you're in the military, you're obviously traveling a lot and being shipped everywhere. He has at least traveled once from his training facility to where he'll be stationed for the rest of his service, and so apparently he was in need to get a vaccine, specifically the hemorrhagic fever vaccine. Apparently there was a nurse that found out about the vaccine and needed to administer Jin. I think someone from Jin's camp actually told this nurse, and then the nurse illegally left where they were stationed, drove 30 minutes to get to Jin's camp, and then gave Jin his shot. There was no way Jin would have realized a nurse had literally done something so crazy and that it wasn't allowed. It's totally one thing if the nurse was the only one that was capable of administering that vaccine, but apparently that nurse didn't even have permission to make the trip. And this is so scary on so many levels, because that either meant that the nurse carried the vaccine from her camp, or there was a team of people at Jin's camp who were conspiring against Jin, and who knows what was in the vaccine. If this was a person that hated Jin, the vaccine could have killed Jin. And this is exactly why those rules were put into place to begin with. You can't have random people just entering in and out of camps without authorization. And apparently this nurse never even informed her superior that she was even leaving her camp to go to Jin's. Later, the nurse described that after the shot, Jin was in a lot of pain. This likely was not true, but was just something that she told everyone. She likely told everyone because it would give her a reason to have gone over there or make some sort of fantasy of Jin and make it seem like he needed her. And for someone to have said that or possibly made that up, it's concerning because this person is probably not well. It was then even more concerning when it was believed that the nurse had illegally distributed a significant amount of Tylenol that was not approved. That's not a huge deal, as of course soldiers would need Tylenol if they were doing these sorts of crazy training, but again, since they're not approved, you have no idea what's in them. Likelihood of the nurse lacing it with anything is low, but not none, and it's suspicious because it's not approved. If it was not a big deal, then why did the nurse not just ask for approval? And if she knew that the large amount of Tylenol would not get approved, why then illegally try to get it in? Like, it's so sus, right? It's very scary to hear about stories like this and what even the attempt here was. Of course, you can't entirely blame the military because they didn't know. It wasn't like they were actively letting this happen. No higher-ups knew about it, and the story didn't come out until now. This allegedly happened in January, but I will say it happening in January is a good thing because a lot of time has passed since then, and we see that Jin is okay. People are worried about Jin's health, and if he was okay, a bunch of stuff, but fear not about this. So nothing bad has happened, and Jin wasn't really ever in a lot of pain. We can breathe, we can rest easy knowing that everything ended up being okay. Let me know what you think. Make sure you check out my Patreon for more videos, link down below. Thank you for this lovely comment right here. Love you, bye.